You ever feel like you're just stuck? Like you're in a relationship loop? Well, today we're going to dig into why that happens. And here's a hint. The answer goes way, way back, long before your first date. Let's jump in.
Yeah, it's that weird sense of déjà vu, but for your love life, right? You find yourself having the same arguments, falling into the same dynamics, just with a different person. So it begs this massive question we're going to tackle. Why on earth do these patterns seem to follow us around? Okay, so the answer? It's probably not where you think. It's not about your last breakup, or the one before that. Nope, we've got to go deeper. We're about to pull back the curtain on the real source of these habits, and it starts somewhere most of us just never even consider looking.
You know, most of us assume we learn about love from our first real relationships. It's all that trial and error in our teens and 20s, right? But what if that's not the real origin story? What if these really deep, sticky patterns, what if they don't even start in adulthood?
And there it is. That's the big idea we're diving into. The blueprint, the actual foundation for our romantic lives, it's often drawn up when we're kids, in childhood. This is the key, and we're about to unpack exactly what that means.
So, okay, what does this actually look like in real life? Let's get into some real concrete examples of how these echoes from the past can pop up in our relationships today.
Okay, let's take a look at this first one. So, imagine a childhood where love just felt inconsistent. You know, a parent who was super warm one minute and then totally distant the next. Now, fast forward to adulthood. What happens? Well, you might find yourself constantly needing reassurance. That urge to send the "are we okay" text or needing to hear "I love you" all the time. That's a direct echo of that old feeling of not knowing where you stand.
Or, hey, what about this one? Maybe as a kid, your emotions were just dismissed. You know, you were told you're being too sensitive or you need to just get over it. And wow, you learn a really powerful and tough lesson from that. My feelings are a problem. So what's the result down the line? As an adult, it can feel physically impossible to just say, hey, I need your help, or, you know, that really hurt my feelings. Why? Because deep down, you were taught your needs just aren't valid.
And for our last example, let's say you had to be the strong one. Maybe you were the responsible older kid, or you had to carry adult-sized worries when you were small. You learned to be tough, to handle it all. And look, that strength is amazing. It's a superpower. But the flip side is that it can lead to an adult who avoids vulnerability like the plague. Letting that guard down feels terrifying, because for so long, being strong was the only way you knew how to survive. Okay, so these examples, they kind of make sense, right? You can see the connection. But it brings up this even bigger question. Why in the world are we drawn to repeat these things, especially when they're painful? It just feels so counterintuitive. Well, the answer isn't just in your head. It's actually biological. I mean, it's a totally fair question to ask. Is this just a bad habit that we can't seem to kick? Or is there something deeper going on? Something literally wired into us that pulls us back to what we know, even when we know it hurts? And this right here, this is the absolute key. It's not about logic. It has nothing to do with what you think. It's about survival. See, your nervous system learned what felt normal way before it ever learned what was healthy. Its number one job is to keep you safe, and for our brains, familiar equals safe. So if normal for you was chaos or if it was emotional distance, your nervous system will subconsciously search for that feeling in your adult relationships, not because it's good for you, but because it's familiar. It knows how to survive that. Now, I know hearing all of this can feel a little heavy, kind of like we're all just doomed to repeat the past. But listen, the whole point of understanding this stuff isn't to feel trapped. It's the exact opposite. It's about getting the keys to the lock. And that brings us to our last and I think most important section. So here's the absolute most crucial takeaway. This is not about blame. It's not about blaming your parents, and it's definitely not about blaming yourself. This is about choice. It's about empowerment. Because the second you understand where a pattern comes from, you strip away its power. It's no longer this mysterious force controlling you. You move it out of the category of fate and into the category of choice. You can finally see it, you can name it, and then you can decide to do something different. And that right there, that's the whole ball game. This is not a life sentence, not at all. It is 100% possible to see those echoes from the past, to acknowledge them, and then refuse to let them run the show. You absolutely can build secure, healthy relationships without having to relive old patterns. So let's bring this home. I want to leave you with a question to really think about, just for you. Looking at your own life with this new awareness, what is one old pattern? It could be big, it could be tiny, that you can now choose to change. Something to think about. Thanks.
Thanks for joining me.